sangena thina madikade sangena thina mavulandlela kuphina kuphi emakhaya amadolobheni laseTorplas lakhona lapho kubukele khona SABC 1 sanibukela bekunene njengenjwayelo ke silapha ku SABC 1 Mzansi for sure satfolakala futhi na ku SABC Plus mina ke ngisimpiwe Ngcongwane bekunene the festive season is only weeks away and already the spirit of spending on specials has gripped so many eagerly waiting for Black Friday doors to open. With the luring marketing tactics set to bombard consumers, the question is, are you spending what you can afford or are you simply following your heart? By now, so many consumers have their eyes set on some of the goods that they've been long dreaming of. While many people have already planned their spend, others will only figure out how to spend when the store doors open. And the unplanned spend behavior will continue for many into the festive season as they will be bombarded with eye-catching products and catchphrases such as bonanza, festive specials, prize beaters, and so on and so forth. Ingabe kusamqoka kangakanani ukuthi ke simise kumqondo uma sisebenzisa imali ngalesikhathi?
Umhla we-Black Friday banguqula ukubhede abathengi begilana ukuchola-chola izisulu kaloku impahla ukutya nezinto ngezinto zithotywa amaxabiso ngendlela engumangaliso. Kungoko inyanga yenkanga ifika abathengi abaninzi bezilungiselele ukungaphoswa zezisulu ze-Black Friday. Oku kukuba sithi singena kwezolide zikaDisemba babe sebezichola-cholele izinto ezingundoqo ezinjengomabonakude, impahla yendlu, eyokunxiba nezinye izinto ezidla ngokuxhoma ngexabiso.
Honestly, I feel like they really do help when saving. Me and my partner have already planned to buy around Black Friday, and I'm looking forward to it.
It's a very confusing concept for consumers or suppliers to use because it gets people very excited and you buy with the spirit of the moment without keeping in mind your budget and your needs, like your actual needs that you live by day. So for me, it's a scam, if I can put it that way.
Ama-summer sales yabona right wona and ayasiza but afuna nje ungaveli uye shop ungabhalanga ukuthi uyothengani yabona iba ne-list obhale into ofuna ukuzithenga because uyofika lana so ugcine ungasazi ukuthi uyofunani yabona so ku-right ukuthi at least ube ne-list uyibhalile and uthenge lezi zinto lezi ozibhalile mazingekho uyekele uzoba usave nemali yakho.
Every time on Black Friday I'm not yet get paid, so I get paid after Black Friday, so it helps me because it saves a lot of money for me and then I save that money to buy the stationery in January. So Black Friday I think it's a scam.
Ukanti kukho abo bangazi nokuba iza kuvelaphi imali yokuthenga ezo zisulu kodwa babe bezifuna ngenhliziyo. Kungoko ke abanye baye bayozifaka kumgibe wokuthenga ngemali abangenayo besebenzisa i-credit card beboleka nemali. Kwamanye amaxesha basebenzisa imali ebekelwe ezinye izinto ilindele izinto ezingundoqo. Ingxelo yabakwa-Statistics South Africa ibonisa ukuba kukweli xesha lonyaka apho inkcitho yabathengi idla ngokuxhoma kakhulu. Isilumkiso ke kubathengi sesokuba bangachithi imali abangenayo kuba beqhutywa inhliziyo.
It's the beginning of Black Friday, is the beginning of festive season, and how you spend during festive season will determine how your January will look like. So most of the time we go into the stores and we buy with our emotions. If I don't get the thing that I have planned to buy or I have not planned to buy, because sometimes people are going in there thinking I'm just going to look around and see what I can get, and then if at all I did not plan, you're going to end up buying the things that you really do not need.
I-Black Friday yenye yamaphulo okuloba abathengi kuba bazivule ipokotho nangakumbi apho ajika khona umthengi uyobe ejamelene namagama enza umtsalane anjengo-markdown, sale, bonanza, specials namanye amagama enza ukuba ungathandabuza ukufaka isandla epokothweni. Maxa wambi ube uzifake emgibeni nanjengoko lothi liphela ixesha leholide abe umntu ekwimeko emaxongo ngokwasezimalini. Abathengi ke bakhuthazwa ukuba bahlabe bekhangele kula maxesha ezisulu.
So right now, the best way to navigate Black Friday and to have a successful one is to write down the things that you need to buy. And then after that, look at your budget, compare to the things that you need. And then also compare the prices. How much is it now compared to how much it will be during Black Friday? With inflation, we have seen the rises of food prices and basically the goods that we purchase. The best way is that buy non-perishables. If you buy non-perishables in bulk, then you know that at least for January, I won't have to buy certain items that I would usually buy in every single month because I managed to actually then get the bargains.
Umyalezo ngowokuba ungachithi imali ngongathi akusekho nyaka uzayo apho imfuno ezingundoqo zobe zisongamele. Nobathembu Zansi, Yilungelo Lakho.
Sibonga lo mbiko ke samukele ke Lee Soobrathi lo meleli ihhovisi le Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman siphinde sibe na Gerald Mwandiambira lo financial expert. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, yeah.
Great stuff. Gerald, I'm going to start with you for the benefit of some of our viewers who've heard about the term Black Friday, but they don't actually know what it means and what exactly it is. What is Black Friday?
Black Friday is a shopping festival which came from the United States. Normally at the end of the year, United States shops, they want to clear their summer stock because they're going into winter.
Yes.
And a lot of the shops are in the red because they're not making a profit. So then they decided to have one day where they clear out all their stores, and they call it Black Friday because many stores move from the black, from the red in terms of making a loss into the black, which is why it's called Black Friday. They want to now get into a profit position because they're clearing all their summer stock, preparing for winter. Now, we've heard many other stories. The other people say it was a slave market day. No, it's got nothing to do with slaves.
I think I've heard that version.
That's another version where people are trying to militantly make Black Friday about racial issues. It's not. It was really a simple accounting day where accountants said, we're moving from the red to the black because we're clearing out all our winter stock or all our summer stock preparing for winter. But in South Africa, we adopted it. And for us now, it's become Black Friday to Black November, where it's an entire month of shopping. And it's been going on probably since about 2016, 2017. And it's been gaining momentum and popularity in terms of you can pick up bargains. However, a lot of false advertising is going on at this time as well. Because, Spiro, I could say I'm selling an 88-inch TV for R1.
Yes.
And advertise it full page in the newspaper. But I don't actually, and I just put while stocks last. But there's only one TV. So only one person is going to get the one TV.
So all the others at normal price?
The normal price.
Normal
but
price,
everyone else who comes is coming with money and expecting to leave with a TV. So it's about human behavioral science where we have that herd mentality where if all of us start running towards a Coke, we'll all go and buy it.
Yes,
and
sure.
the same thing just like now, if I start running for the door, even the cameraman will start running. You look later, what was it, by the way? So it's that kind of mentality we're taking an advantage of. And also what you're getting is this year, we're on a high. A national high. The Springboks have just won the World Cup. So be careful because everybody's in a good mood. So it should be a good Friday in terms of the shops making money. Sure. But it could be a Black Friday in terms of how your January looks. So don't go for FOMO, fear of missing out. Okay? Me, I'm creating one. I call it MIWMIJ. Meaning I want money in January.
Yes.
That's the one you should be going
for. Lee, surely Black Friday is a good thing. I mean, the fact that people get ridiculously low discounts, it should be a good thing, isn't it?
It's a good thing and it's a bad thing in the sense that, and I think it was one of the insights, is that when you're a consumer in that moment and that herd mentality, you pressurize in that moment. You make decisions out of emotions, you react now, and you bear the consequences later. So yes, it's a good thing in terms of which we all are trying to save money. In the current financial climate, you've got to look for specials. You can see where you can cut on expenses. But I think with that comes a responsibility to act prudently. Do your research, do your verifications, shop around. Because in as much as one store may have a discount, there may be another store that has a bigger discount. And be careful for things like buy now, pay later. So I think it's striking the balance because it's good to save, but at the same time, don't get caught into the hype of being misled, so to speak.
Yeah, and speaking of misled, there's this issue of false advertising, of false, I would say, discounts. I mean, you mentioned the TV issue. So, I mean, is that wrong from a supplier perspective?
Look, they're telling the truth, but it's possibly unethical. Last year, you saw one of the major online platforms all over the media because a lot of their suppliers were claiming discounts which never existed. So people who had been tracking the price of an item actually said that the price went up, and then they claimed that the original price was a discount. And in some instances, the price goes up and they still claim there's a discount, but if you've been tracking the price, you're actually paying more than you were previously. So unless you are tracking the price of the item, a lot of retailers are going to use whatever tricks they can to convince you that it's a sale. Remember, when I say I'm having a sale, I could only have 3 things which are on sale, but on my board at the top of my voice, I'll scream, there's a sale. There's great discounts in the supermarkets. So if you're into fizzy drinks, I saw last year people with trolleys of fizzy drinks, you know, because they were ready to drink that drink, but January was coming and then they'll be in the gym. But there are opportunities. So if you want the fizzy drinks, if you want your washing powder, if you want, you know, rice, there's a lot of things which are bulk buying opportunities if you are a prudent spender looking at the new year. But there's also a lot of things you're going to buy which you certainly don't need because you're simply following the herd. When everybody else is holding a trolley, you look at yourself and say, hi, I must also have a trolley. And that's what's going to happen right now because you're going to have a lot of Springbok sales, Boko sale, you know. They'll call it whatever, Sia sale. People will be coming and buying because we're just in a good mood. And remember when you shop, you create a hormone called dopamine. Dopamine, and it gives you that natural high. You feel good, you know. Even if you're big like me, you feel thin.
They call it retail therapy.
You look good.
All right. Let's leave it there for now. Sibabe lapho ke mbukele sizengeshelela ngasetitolo hlala kanyathi ungasanyakathi siyabuya leli lungelo lakho. We'll be right back. Sikomukela futhi mbukele, remember ke ukuthi nawe ungaba ingkhulumo ungaba ingcenye inkulumo yethu namhlanje usuku ushaya licingo ku 011 noma ke ku 011 ungasithumela futhi na WhatsApp ku 060-855-9857 noma ke usithinze ku Facebook or email your views and your thoughts to consumer@sabc.co.za. Let's take our first caller. Sina Portia ulapha ke Malahleni. Sakomule lihlelweni sawubona. Portia Malahleni, good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
Ngiyaphila.
Speedile, khuluma nathi mama, what's on your mind?
Sorry?
Khuluma nathi, what's on your mind?
Yes, I would like to comment regarding the Black Friday topic for today.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, you know, as a buyer or as a consumer, I think it's very critical for you to know the exact prices of the things that you buy, like the normal prices, because sometimes you find out they say it's Black Friday, but then they put up the price even higher than the price going down, you know. So in other shops, it's just a way of attracting customers, but then scamming them in a professional way, if I may put it like that, because actually, to me, Black Friday doesn't exist because some prices are higher than the normal prices, or maybe the prices remain the same, they don't go down. So for me, it does not work actually. It's a scam, according to me.
All right, Portia, very good point you've made. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and for calling us. She's actually making a very good point. You need to know the price of each and every item because we may be attracted by such phrases as bonanza, blah, 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 and yet the price is the same or even higher.
Definitely, they'll put red stickers, green stickers, just to make you attracted. Another thing that they'll do is they'll do the feeding trough mentality. You know how animals go and feed at the trough and they're fighting for a space there. So normally things which are in a rack, they'll pull the racks down and put everything in one bin. So that you are now all feeding and fighting to put your hand in and pull the item out. So what often happens is now you've got the mentality of saying, I must get something, I must get my share.
You're right.
And you actually, that's a trick of getting people to buy more than they normally would because they have that fear of missing out. So look out for those kinds of tricks because That's what normally is happening. But as the caller rightfully said, if you know the cost of things before Black Friday, there are definitely bargains on certain lines. It's not a scam all the way, but on certain things, they are also going to take chances and see if they can push their sales. Remember, the retailers are also trying to make money. So often they'll loss lead and make a loss on margarine, for example. But they know that because you went to buy margarine, you're also going to buy bread.
Of course.
So then they'll increase the bread by R1, and you won't notice that the bread has gone up. But because you buy margarine and 4 loaves of bread, they're actually going to make R4 more on the bread, and they reduce the margarine by R2, and actually they've made more money. So be careful, but do try and look for the bargains. I would say if you really want to shop Black Friday, buy things you normally would buy. Children's Christmas clothes, you are going to buy them anyway. If you can, shop around, buy them during Black Friday. If you're lucky enough and can get it to a stationery store or a school uniform store which has any special, buy it, because those are things you know you definitely were going to buy anyway. So you don't have that feeling of being left out when all the Makelwan and everybody was carrying a bag. You come home and you're carrying your bag, but in your bag you've got things you know you need, versus people who just sometimes are simply buying bottles of drink which they're going to put on their heads and dance all Christmas.
Now, Lee, it's just, taking after what the caller Portia said with regards to whether this is regulated or not. Are the prices regulated during Black Friday? So how does the CPA then protect consumers from unscrupulous retailers when it comes to bait marketing and false advertising?
Yeah, so remember the CPA is quite clear in that when you are advertising goods on the floor, there has to be a price. The goods must be priced. In fact, the Act says that no supplier may market goods without a price on the floor. So there has to be a price there, and that's where the balance comes in, that as a consumer, there's a way for you to distinguish between bait marketing and between false pricing, and that you've got to do your homework. I would say you, a customer ending up at the store with receiving the pamphlet that morning puts you in a very precarious situation. It's because in that moment you don't have time to compare, you don't have time to sort of suss out what is benefit to me and what am I sort of wasting money on. That's why preparation is king. You've got to get the information beforehand, compare it with different stores, because like my colleague mentioned, is that it's a commercial environment. Suppliers are there to make profit. And the way they market their profit, the way they market their goods is the way that they sort of attract customers. But you as a customer, you have to be informed. So number one, you are entitled, or rather you have a right to know what the price is. Number two, bait marketing is obviously a big subject, especially now, is because the Act is quite clear. A supplier is not to market the price of a goods to give the misleading impression of the availability of the goods. And that is why they use things like while stocks last, only 30 units and quantities available. So make sure you read the terms and conditions. The fine print you see at the bottom of the advertisement, it's there to protect you. So I would say take a step back, breathe, put a piece of paper, and another thing that assists is if you have a budget, stick to your budget. Because a budget informs what you can take, what you are allowed to take, and even if you have a bit of a fun budget on the side, but make sure it works in your favor as opposed to a sledgehammer come January.
And I suppose these retailers ride on consumers' vulnerability. So are they protected by the CPA? Is it within the law for these retailers to do such things as bait marketing?
So bait marketing, like we're saying that, for example, if I market goods, I've got, like you're saying, the TV. I've only got 30 units available at R1 each. There's a balance that one needs to strike. Remember, the CPA is quite clear. It has rights and responsibilities for consumers and for the suppliers. Remember, it's meant to protect the parties in that transaction. So, for example, if I go and purchase the TV for R1, if it was a clear error in the way that that product was marketed, one will need to look at what steps did the supplier take to correct that mistake. Did they advertise? Did they inform consumers of the error in pricing? So one will need to look at the circumstances. But to answer your question, yes, you are protected as a consumer. You have avenues and methods of lodging disputes, which is what our office provides. So use those mechanisms. But like I said previously, information and preparation is the key to protect not only yourself, but your bank at the end of the day, your budget, so to speak.
Now, Gerald, some people have complained that Black Friday comes at a very awkward time on the 24th when most people haven't got paid and some resort to taking loans to just take advantage of these specials. So how can we take advantage of these specials without overspending?
Look, you can take advantage because, you know, Black Friday 2024 is happening on the last Friday of November, which gives you 52 or 54 weeks from today to plan ahead. You need to plan ahead. There's no shortcut to saying, I don't have money on Black Friday. You knew it was coming last year. And it came again this year, and it's coming again next year in exactly 54 weeks. Yes. It's a plan for you to plan ahead, as Lee said, budget. If you budget, you can enjoy Black Friday, and it can really be an enjoyable shopping experience. Don't be caught out with the misleading adverts, because also what happens is sometimes I've seen people drive from the East Rand to the West Rand of Joburg, which is driving 70 kilometers to go buy an item which is on special, and you're going to save 30 Rand on it. But you haven't actually thought about the fuel which you are going to spend from coming from point A to B. So think about the whole picture in terms of saying, how much is it going to cost for me to go buy that item? 2, how much is the discount versus the cost of acquiring that item? 3, can I wait until December sales, and even better, January sales? Because often what I've found is that a lot of things are even cheaper come January because people don't have money then. So whatever was left on Black Friday, they definitely need to get rid of it. So shop around and just know that it should be methodical. Don't be caught up in the moment. Sure. I know it's difficult. And also I've seen a few specials. I think for the first time I saw an education group saying that, you know, they have a Black Friday special where they're going to do 50% fees on what you'd pay 2024. That's a good special because it's something that's beneficial to you, and it's actually going to work. It's a win-win, you know. But the normal culprits, insurance companies, the banks, no specials. They just want you to keep spending. Right.
Please do stay with us. This is a very interesting topic, so make sure that you tune in and give us a call. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Please take up a call and call us right now. The numbers will be on your screens shortly. 011-714-0671. Nomage 011-714-0672. Now, these are participation lines. Ungashare icingo khona manje kuba ingxenye yenkulumo yethu. Ungasithumela futhi WhatsApp ku-060-855-9857. Ungasithola futhi ku-Facebook, and you'll also email your thoughts to consumer@sabc.co.za. Let's take our next caller. Sinangosinathu lo lapha eGqeberha. Sakumukela ehlelweni, sawubona. Ngosinathi Gqeberha, sawubona.
Mhlekazi, bengicela uhlomula kule nto ye-Black Friday.
Thetha Mhlekazi.
I-Black Friday 4 years back before i-COVID yayi-Black Friday nyani wawuzibona amaxabiso aphansi, but ngoku buyaya ke zisitolo uyocheka ufumanisa ii-prices eziza-price because into endiqhele uyenza phaa koSeptember ndithatha inasi ikhatalogue ezinto ezibeka apha ndijonga amaxabiso wayo. Ndithi ngelaa xesha ndibona uba bi-better before i-Black Friday. Ngeli xesha le-Black Friday amaxabiso anormal same ahlala enormal. Sathi mna siyarotshwa nje sesivenkile.
Okay, Ngosinathi, siyabonga kakhulu. Thank you so much for your call. Ngosinathi is basically saying that, you know, in some instances, prices are much lower before Black Friday. So on Black Friday, prices are much higher. But the retailers are riding on, as I said, on the consumers' vulnerabilities and the fact that they are attracted by these catchphrases and the green and yellow stickers.
No, definitely. I think, you know, consumers, it's good that consumers are starting to see these patterns because it also means that consumer activism and awareness has increased. People aren't so easy to trick. So what's going to happen is retailers will have to start giving deeper discounts and proper discounts in terms of Black Friday specials. So, you know, like what I found works is when you go into a supermarket, just buy the items on the specials list. Because those items definitely, what normally happens is manufacturers are competing for space in the supermarket. So they want to move stock. Because remember, the supermarket doesn't own anything inside it anymore. Everyone who's in the supermarket is renting space. So when they make it onto that specials pamphlet, it's because they want to move stock.
Yes.
So if you stick and say, look, I'm going to buy the things on the specials pamphlet, normally you do find good value by following that and buying the brands which are seriously aggressive in terms of trying to move stock during that Black Friday and festive period. And obviously there's always the Black Friday alcohol specials. And unfortunately, alcohol is a syntaxed item, but people always buy lots of alcohol. But remember, they are working on the premise that if they sell more alcohol, they can reduce the price. So it's a volume game for them. So be careful to not be enticed by false marketing. But what I'm glad is that all the callers are saying, look, we know, we've seen their tricks. So it means that people are shopping better. But I think some of the things which I'd ask Lee, for example, is what happens with return policy? Because a lot of shops will say Black Friday special, you can't return. Under the law, can they stop me from returning something if I've changed my mind?
Good question, Lee. How to answer that?
Yeah, so remember, and we see this many times, that a store will say that there's no refund policy, there's no return policy, but the Act is quite clear. And a store cannot contract out of consumer rights in terms of the Consumer Protection Act. And the Act is quite clear. Remember, goods are supposed to be of good quality, safe, durable. They're supposed to last, unless there's conditions attached to it which must be disclosed before you purchase it. But to answer your question, is that as long as a goods, and the Act is very clear on when you can return goods. If you find goods that are defective, that are not safe, they do not fit the purpose for which you purchased it, the Act comes with a minimum 6 months implied warranty. That's Section 56. So regardless of what the store says, if you buy certain goods and if any defect or, let's say, imperfection has not been disclosed to you, you have a right to take that goods to the store and return it on that implied warranty. It's a different case if you go to a store whereby you're selling goods that are tainted or defective, because you know upfront that you buy it on that condition at a reduced price. But in terms of the no refunds, no policy, as long as it falls within the Act, you have a right as a consumer within the first 6 months of purchase to take the goods or the service back to the store or to the supplier and inform them, listen, it's defective, it's not of good quality, it's not meeting the purposes. But remorse buying is an issue because we know that a change of mind, and I think it's important to speak about this. So remember, that implied warranty is a minimum in terms of the Act, 6 months. But what happens if you exceed the 6 months? Now that's where the supplier's policy comes into play. As a consumer, you need to inform yourself, what is the store's policy regarding return policies? We have some stores that have 30 days, some stores that have different policies. So inform yourself and know what is the supplier's policy in terms of returns and what does the Act provide you with that relief. And in terms of the Act, it's 6 months, implied warranty, no questions about it.
But does the Act embolden the retailers to institute this so-called no return policy?
And that is why we have institutions like the Consumer Goods and Services Ombud and institutions and regulators to enforce. Remember, as a supplier of goods and services, you are required by law to enforce the Act, to promote the Act. So where you are doing practices that are in contravention of that, then you may be subjected to a fine or investigation, and it opens you up for scrutiny. Remember, as a supplier, you are there to make money. If you compromise that by making the decisions not to follow these policies, then you're putting your business at risk.
All right, let's take another caller. We've got Edward in Pretoria.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks. Mina bangicela ukomenta nje kuyo le ndaba le ye-Black Friday.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ukuthi thina siheho ukuthi sithi during the year asiyi shopping kakhulukhulu thina abantu abamnyama asiyi shopping kakhulu. Ne? Sithi masizobheka bathi kuya-advertise bathi 50% off. Then siyagijima sonke sithi ziwile asabeni siyodla imali. Then sigcina siposhwa ukuthi uJanuary ngoba is 6 months in one usendleleni siba singathana mali.
Okay, please enunciate your point again, sir.
Ngithi siba sihehwa ukuthi during the day siba singayi kuma-shops kakhulu, ne?
Okay.
And then sithi November wonke umuntu ubakafocus ukuthi kunento abayibiza nge-Black Friday. Then sonke siyagijima siyakubhisi ema-shopping siyodla imali singa-checkanga ukuthi leyo nto siyithengayo during the year beyimalini.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Edward, for your call. Well, it's basically going back to the point that the other caller said earlier on, that we don't actually know the prices of these items. And then when Black Friday comes, and then we are surprised or even shocked or pleasantly shocked by prices that we don't actually know of.
Yes, definitely. I think, it's a difficult one because remember the cost of living has gone up a lot, especially in the last year. So it's very difficult to see prices which might have gone down in terms of real value because things have gone up because of the rand, because of fuel and transportation costs. So, you need to be very careful. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, but the reality is retailers are not having Black Friday for fun. They're having Black Friday to keep people in jobs, to basically make a profit so that they can enter 2024 in a healthy financial state. So it is in the retailer's interest to empty the store, because an empty store means that they can turn over, bring in new goods, and definitely make more money. But at the same token, be very careful of the false marketing, the false advertising, and, try and track the prices. If you're not going to track prices, then rather stay at home, because at the end of the day, you will lose money and you will end up in a compromised situation where you've got December. And remember, December is that longest month ever, because you get paid on the 14th of December, since the 15th is a holiday, and then you get paid again in January the 31st. So it's a 46-month, a 46-day month. So you need to be really prepared. But look, Black Friday is there, and let's take advantage of the savings that are available. I think there are good savings on perishable items, definitely, but non-perishables, you need to really, really shop around.
All right, let's leave it for now, Mbugeli. Let's take another break. Slanga nasibuya etitolo, hlala kanye nasi. Leli Yilungelo Lakho, don't go away. Welcome back. Khumbula ukuthi Mbukeli nawe ungaba ingcenye yenkulumo ethu namhlanje ukuthi ushare icingo khona manje ku 0117140671 noma ke 0117140672. Ungasithumela futhi ne WhatsApp ku 0608559857. Ungasithola futhi na ku Facebook noma ke usithumele i-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za. Namhlanje sikhuluma ke nge-Black Friday and some of the pitfalls to avoid. Ukuthi ingabe ungatisita kanjani kuze ukuthi ungatitholi uthenga tinto longatidzingi ngemali longenayo. Gentlemen, I just wanted to talk about this whole concept of up to 70% off. Are the retailers required to stick to the 70%?
No, they're not. I think, remember, when you go into a shop and you see 70% off, like sneakers, for example, you'll find it's a size 14 shoe, size 13 shoe. You're like, what kind of human being puts this shoe? Yeah. And then you go and say, I want a size 9 or 10. They'll tell you definitely they don't have it. But they haven't misled you. It's 70% off on the marked item. We need to realize that Black Friday is an imported concept. If you are privileged enough to ever travel to the UK or to the USA, when they say Black Friday, everything must go. Yeah. Literally, when the day finishes, there's hangers only in the shop. That's how they do it. The original Black Friday is empty the shop so that tomorrow we start afresh and we stock new stock for the new season. But unfortunately, because we're doing a Black Friday hybrid in South Africa, because our shops do not want to go empty, they're trying to just move stock. Then it becomes, confusing in terms of how does it work. But in the classic sense, if you understand Black Friday from the original owners, the US store, literally there will be nothing in the store. They will discount things, and they normally will shop for 24 hours, and they'll say, at the end of the day, nothing must remain. So it's like an auction. People will wait right till the last moment to buy whatever they want. Unfortunately, that doesn't work like that here in South Africa. Hopefully, we might start see that evolution where some clever retailer will see the value in actually giving such deep discounts and moving volumes as opposed to trying to move margin. Because when a retailer is selling a good, they have two choices. They can either mark it up, which is called margin, where they make a price margin, or they can decide to mark it down but move more of that item where they'll actually make profits because of the volume they're moving, because they're buying it from a supplier at a cheaper price anyway. Yes. So those are some of the concepts which I think South African stores are still trying to figure out what works in South Africa, what doesn't work. What doesn't work is false advertising, because you've heard every consumer saying, we've seen your tricks. So I hope retailers are watching so that they realize they need to go to the next level of attracting people, because people are not blind to the fact that there's a lot of trickery and smokes and mirrors going on.
Sure. All right, let's take another caller. Sina Crossmas lapha ke-Randburg. Sakumoto endleleni sawubona. Crossmas in Randburg. Good afternoon. Siyaphila kunjani baba? Awukhala kusithi baba. What's on your mind? Siyaphila baba. Khuluma baba. Khuluma nathi baba. What's on your mind?
Last year, ngiyekhretha lapha last year kune-Black Friday ngegame ne. So into engiyibonile lapha ngathi badayisa lezi zinto yabona lezi ezidurayo like ama-fruits ama-fruits 20,000 maybe bakhipha 2,000 or 5,000 yabona. Sekusuka lapho ngaye-truest lezi mpahla lezo extra large nani ezingathengwa yizo lezi abazifakile lapho. So mina I feel like i-Black Friday ngiyalaba abantu abanemali or badayisa isitokhu lesi esingathengwa, understand.
Okay, Crossmas, thank you so much for your call. Siyabonga ukuhlanganyela nathi. Yeah, he's basically saying that Black Friday is specifically for people who've got money and people who can just buy whatever item willy-nilly, especially those items that people don't buy, you know, the items that don't leave the shelves, extra large items or extra small items. I'm not sure whether it's just complaining or he's just sharing his thoughts. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, I mean, if you look at the diversity, you look at the number of, the number of residents we have in South Africa, the population, there is going to be somebody that product fits. They're trying to attract that market. They've got a product that they need to move off the shelf.
Yeah.
The question is, how do they market it in a fair and in a sustainable manner? And that is what Black Friday is about, like my colleague just intimated now, is that it's about attracting investors, or attracting that consumer to make that transaction. Because if a customer, for example, you could be walking past many stores and the bright lights and the cards and stuff, they stand out, but you could never know that store may have exactly the type of product that you want. I know it's happened to me in the past, I'm sure it's happened to other people. So it's about playing the odds, I would say. But at the end of the day, nothing prevents you from going to the store next door, comparing the prices, even going to the store and saying, this store has it for 500 rands, why do you have it for 600 rands? Can you beat their price? It's about speaking. Nothing prevents us from doing that. I think we're limited in terms of what we see and what we hear. It's about us taking action as a consumer, asking the necessary questions, clearing up the confusion so that you know and that the parties are on the same terms when they are transacting. It gives you rights and responsibilities. We need to act on those responsibilities as well.
And I think also be careful, because you've seen the Spaza scandals around expiry dates. So Black Friday is a time to move goods. So even as an established big name supermarket wants to move goods and off the shelf, so they can put that yogurt which no one buys, that flavor which no one likes, and they put it on Black Friday special at 50% off. But the entire shelf has got 2 weeks left of shelf life. So have they done false advertising? No. Are the goods good enough to consume? Yes. But if you go and buy 15 of that yogurt flavor which no one eats, unless you're going to eat it in the next 2 weeks, you'll be stuck with that yogurt in January. And now it's after its best before date. And now it's going to become less delicious, because best before date doesn't necessarily mean the goods are no longer fit for human consumption. It just means the flavor, some elements might be lost after that date, you know. Many things, nothing changes, but it's also a marketing ploy. They put best before so that it comes off the shelf. So be careful, especially when you say I'm going to bulk buy on an item which has a expiry date or a best before date, because if you buy too much of that item, come January, you might not even like the taste anymore, because there were too many in the first place. And sometimes when that item is a flavor which no one likes, there's a reason. So don't go and buy it because you are the hero who thinks you're getting a discount. Because after two tubs, you might also decide, I don't like this stuff.
And another trick, gentlemen, by supermarkets is that they place the items that are closer to expiration, to expiry date, at the front of the shelves, and then they put the items which will expire in a month or two at the back of the shelf. And I've noted that trick, eh?
Well, I don't think it's a trick. Are they doing the right thing? Should be first in, first out. That's how merchandising works. So I don't think it's a trick. They put the near expiry items in the front. All I was saying is on certain lines which don't move anyway, the entire fridge will be near expiry because no one likes buying that flavor, or maybe it was too expensive and now suddenly they've put 50% off. So be careful. The reports are there that, you know, it's not just spaza shops which sometimes sell goods which are close to expiry or have expired, because sometimes they just simply forget. Because remember now, a supermarket doesn't own everything in there. So there's merchandisers, the guys you see who represent the owners of the goods. Sure. And sometimes they don't do their jobs properly and things can expire. Especially canned items. You know, baked beans and the fast moving stuff is always great. But there's always that thing which no one buys, you know, the macaroni with mince in a can.
Yes.
And you're looking at it like, who buys this? And you see it on special. Be careful, because there's a good chance that you're buying something which has a few months or a few days to go.
All right. Bukele asase ikhefu lekugcina ke ungasanyakathi hlaya kanye yathi siyabuya khona manje. Welcome to our very final segment. Saqhubeka futhi nenzaba yethu, inzaba ke ya Black Friday namhla. Gentlemen, how do we draw the line between impulsive buying and spoiling yourself? I mean, what does the law say in terms of impulsive buying, and in cases where you change your mind? Do I have to return the policy because I was just buying on impulse?
So it's important to understand the terms and conditions that are attached to the supplier. So remember, I mentioned previously, quality, safety, these are things that one cannot compromise on. As a customer, if I buy goods within the first 6 months, there's an implied warranty, no questions. The 3 R's apply. If it's defective, I can request a refund, replacement, or repair. It's up to you as a consumer. But then the question is that if I buy something and I change my mind 2 days later, is it fair on the supplier, if I change my mind, to take back a product to them if their policies don't provide for that specific purpose? Remorse, you know, remorse, buyer's remorse, so to speak, where I change my mind. And these are things we've got to grapple with, because as a customer, when I go into the store, I have an opportunity to inspect, to try the garment on or the clothing on. With food, it becomes a bit more tricky because you're opening up a package, you're taking a bite, and so that sort of things. You know, so these are the things you've got to grapple with, which is why do your homework, do your research. Is this something, is it a want, is it a need? Do I need it now or can I wait? These are things that will inform your decision. Also, it won't leave you with regret. We know sometimes we make decisions, we go home and we say, should I have spent that 10,000 on this item? Can I take it back? These are things, so do your research. Which companies do have the policies whereby I can return goods? Because it puts you in a better position in the event that you want to take the goods back.
Because definitely, if you go into a shop and it's got a jacket, you can see the size, you can try it on. You can go to the changing room, you can see in the mirror if it fits you. If you come back tomorrow and say, this jacket, I didn't want it, the store owner has the right to say, but dude, you were here, Spiwa, yesterday, you were in the changing room, you tried it, it was fitting nicely. Why are you bringing it back? So then it becomes a bit of a challenge, and they can negotiate and say, maybe you've even worn it. We don't, you know, that's why they say original packaging in resaleable condition, okay? Often now, what happens is there's a lot of online buying now. Now, online is tricky.
Because you can't actually fit the item.
No, because me, I bought on a Chinese website, and it was XL, but it wouldn't fit. I took it back. I had to buy 6XL just for it to fit me. I was angry. I was like, these guys are making me feel like I'm a big guy. So I don't buy Chinese sites. I buy on American sites, because on an American site, I'm a medium. Because there are big guys out there. So we need to be careful. When it's online, you can definitely return it, because you never saw it. You never tried it on. Therefore, there's a high chance it doesn't fit. So that's why people take advantage of the online shops. People buy things, they wear them to a party, and they send it back. Because by law, they have the right of automatic return. Because I bought it online, how was I not supposed to know the color is the same or it fits nicely? So that's where people try and, you know, play around with the rules. However, if you walk into a shop in the mall, it's much more difficult for you to try that trick, because they will say you tried the item on, you know, the sizes of each brand, you can try them on, you have that choice, you know, to use the changing facilities. So be careful. And then things like, obviously, like hygiene purposes, the underwears and the toothbrushes, you can't return it because of hygiene purposes. But, you know, be careful, especially when you're buying online also, because on Black Friday, a lot of ghost websites appear. Oh yes, the ghost website, which has, you know, PlayStation 20, which hasn't even come out, and it's 15 Rand. And you go and you say, 15 Rand, I won't lose. Let me just type in my credit card, expiry, CVV number. Meanwhile, all they wanted was your details. There was never a PlayStation. So that's another important point, that on Black Friday, be safe online. Because if the shopping website doesn't have the verified by Visa or the MasterCard secure OTP shopping, run away, because online is where the totsies are now. They're all waiting, and they're just going to harvest your card details. They're not selling you anything nice. So don't go onto a website which you've never seen, or a website which arrives 2 days before Black Friday, and it's got too good to be true deals on it, because often when there's too good to be true, they're going to hit your account.
Now, Lee, what are the chances of getting a refund or successfully returning an item if I've purchased it online? I mean, those online companies, most of them are foreign companies, which do not necessarily subscribe to the South African laws.
Yeah, you see, that's a problem because it's cross-border transactions, but that is why that's one of the concepts you have to take into account. Am I buying from an institution that I have recourse to?
Yeah.
And we know e-commerce has evolved. It's basically burst at the seams over the last few years. We've seen a 34%. I mean, it's increased over the years. Last year, financially, it was 34% in e-commerce alone. And that tells you that as an e-commerce consumer in South Africa, within the parameters of South Africa, you are protected. There's the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act, which protects you. It gives you within 7 days, without question, you can return goods that you have purchased that you did not have an opportunity to inspect when you purchased it online. So the protection is there. But like my colleague was saying, do your research, do your homework, scrutinize the URL to see, is it the proper URL? Is it a 1 instead of an L? Is it an M instead of another digit? Because these are the tricks that are used to scam consumers, and I cannot stress this enough. When you're doing online transactions, do the reviews. Speak to your peers, speak to your family members. Have you transacted here? Call the company if you can. Most likely, if you call someone and they're not picking up, are they going to pick up when you have a complaint?
Right.
Sure.
So make sure it's a South African website. If it's not in South Africa, you're not going to be able to return the goods, and walala wasala. So you need to be very careful. You know, always go on the contact us and see if there's a physical address. Often you find the international websites don't have contact details.
Have contact details. All right, gentlemen, lovely chatting to you as always. Thank you so much for joining us. Great stuff. Well, kwenye lombukele sesifike emaphethelweni ehlelo lethu namhla ngicela ngibonge ivakashi lethu ngekuba nathi ngithatha buka kanye nani babukele ngekuba nathi kuze kube manje asihlangane futhi ngesikhathi lesitako lapho ke sitabe sidzingidza lenye indzaba letawuthinza wena nemalungelo akho njengemthengi. From me Simphiwe Ngongwane and the rest of the team, sesinsala kahle. Do have a great week ahead. Cheers.